During the last bull market, early buyers who bought into ICOs of Solana made literally billions of dollars. And it's no secret that given the crypto market is on the move again, if you're able to pick the right ICOs and IDOs right now, the chances of you making 50x, 100x, or maybe even 500x becomes that much more realistic. But finding the right niches and the right projects can be extremely challenging. That's why we're going to be looking at a platform that boasts around 27x on average per project that they've been launching over the last few years, which is absolutely crazy. Hit the like button and let's get into it. Now guys, if you've been watching my videos for a while now, then you'll understand that I like to kind of keep my fingers on the pulse of the crypto market because I can identify where the next trends are going. And you're like, well, how can you do that? Good question. Well, before a crypto project raises money at an ICO, that's when they start selling tokens to you, they'll raise money through venture capital funds. These big companies have highly paid analysts who will go and identify good opportunities in particular niches. And the niches they focus on are the ones that we want to be paying most attention to. Notice, if we come over to crypto fundraising, that during October, millions and millions of dollars went into gaming. Gaming. That's a very big deal for us. And you're like, well, why gaming? Well, guys, if you look into this rather snazzy chart, which we have looked at before, then you'll see that over time, gaming has kind of morphed into different things, from originally arcade games into like mobile gaming and all that other stuff. And if you are at all aware of what's going on in crypto, you'll notice that suddenly gaming and metaverse is really pulling away from the rest of the market and stealing a massive market share. This is at the same time as the whole gaming industry itself is also booming towards the upside. Here you can see by 2026, that blockchain games expects to be worth around $67.4 billion with a B. And I realistically just want to get a piece of that pie. So there's one way you could do it. You can come across to crypto fundraising and you can go through all of these different projects and work out whether or not there's something you're interested in investing in, going and checking the tokenomics, reading the white papers and all that jazz. Or you could do something much easier, and that would be to come across and use Seedify, which today has sponsored this video. But before you run crying and saying I'm not interested because it's a sponsor, you must be aware that Seedify averaged 25.99x on all of the projects that they've been raising money for so far. So if you put money into like the last 10 projects that they launched, chances are you would have seen a 26x, which means if you put in $1,000, you will have made $26,000 on top of your original 1,000. And I'm not going to do the rest of the maths for you. You can figure this out. Not just that, but if you come down and you see some of the projects that Seedify Launchpad has been launching, Blocktopia at an all-time high did a 698x for people who were buying in at the IDOs. Coming down the list, you can see another 185x, 169x. And you may not realize what 690x means, but it means you put in $100, you leave with $69,800. Now I've got your attention. So what on earth is a launchpad or an incubator? Well, what Seedify does is slightly different from a lot of other cryptos. Basically, what they do is they raise money to be able to put into projects, and they raise money in a bunch of different ways. But typically what they'll do is they'll encourage you to buy and stake tokens in order to be able to participate in the IDOs for projects that they're working with. Not only that, but they will also incubate projects, which means provide them with the funding and servicing they need before they launch publicly in order to be able to give them the best chance possible. So what's really important for us is if you don't really understand how to kind of go and do good research of projects, the good thing is they have a good reputation because they work with good quality projects. So what Seedify will do is they'll go and investigate different crypto projects and they will work to represent them, kind of like the Dragon's Den stuff or the Shark Tank stuff if you're in the US. Now, effectively, they have like a new launch that comes up every couple of weeks. And when they have a new project that's coming up, they will basically tell you about this project. They'll tell you how you can invest in it. They have this one here called Chappies. Okay, and you can go and potentially invest in that if you're so interested. But they will tell you all the breakdown of information, how it all works, and that kind of good stuff. But you can't just go in and buy that token straight off the bat. No. There is something, in fact, that you have to do before you're able to do that. And what you have to do is you have to go and buy Seedify tokens. And we will look at the analysis of Seedify token because it actually is blowing up right this second. But you basically buy it and you can stake it for a period of time. You have to be staked around 24 hours before you want to go and buy into that particular upcoming project. But remember, if you're able to average around 26, 27x for every IDO that you're investing in through Seedify, then maybe and just maybe it could be a very good decision for you to do so. Now, in order to get started, it's all very straightforward. You can see that they basically work with only top tier AI, Web3, gaming, metaverse tokens, IDOs, right? Basically, you go and buy the fund, and you can do that through KuCoin, Bybit, Huobi, big exchanges, right? Personally, I'd be using KuCoin from that list. But obviously, depending on your location, you may be more limited. It's actually very straightforward. There is a YouTube channel with around 27,000 subscribers that they've got that explains everything very clearly. All you simply do is you buy the S Fund token, and then you go and stake or farm your S Fund, okay? By staking it, you're basically locking into the platform, securing the platform, which means they've then got the liquidity for things like investment and running the overall platform. And then in return for that, you get the access to these IDOs. And then you basically have to do a full KYC. So as long as you're not a shady bloke, you should be all right. Now, before we jump across and take a look at the very interesting chart that's happening right now for the Seedify token, I want to start looking at some social media stuff. First of all, give me a follow over on Twitter, link down below, guys. Every day I'm uploading articles on things like Render, we did Man at Decentraland, Rollbit, and other top coins that people are talking about right now. And I'll also be doing a competition as we approach 50,000 subscribers for the YouTube channel, where I'll be doing giveaways on Twitter as well. Anyway, enough about me. As we jump across to the Seedify page on Twitter, you'll see they have 789,000 followers, which, as you know, is a big deal. Something else that's worth considering is right now, the Seedify token is valued basically on how many people are staking it away, how many people are purchasing it, and also the performance of the projects that were launched on this launchpad. Now, a lot of these kind of 88 or all-time high return on investment were back in the last bull market when they actually achieved it. Right now, however, coins like Blocktopia are well down. But once some of these projects start to recover again, you are likely to see the value of the coin, Seedify token, that holds all of these in big quantities, absolutely booming towards the upside. Why? Well, because part of the deal of the GameFi project that launches on Seedify is that Seedify keeps a portion of those tokens. So if these tokens behind the projects are all starting to boom because we see a rise in GameFi and metaverse stuff, which I think could just be on the horizon, and you'll see the overall value of the Seedify launchpad also increasing rapidly. What does that mean for us? Well, actually, this is what it means. And this is not just because I'm doing a sponsored video today and a few other people have been doing sponsored videos, but no, it's because a lot of the funds held by Seedify are kind of locked away, and every time these projects are starting to do well, all of that kind of growth is going to be taking place on the platform. That's very important because Seedify is down heavily from all-time high because, as I mentioned, the smaller cap altcoin GameFi stuff that they've been in is sort of down as well. They fell and they're currently down around 94%. And no, that does not mean it's a dead token. In fact, this is a sign here that it's a very much not a dead token, but it is heavily undervalued from where it could potentially be going in this next bull market. Potentially, you could see it exploding beyond all-time highs. So what we want to do is looking at a chart from here. I will say that we have seen a bit of a growth in this in the last few days, and there is a potential that we may see a little bit of a pullback. But if we were to draw on this green box here, which is identifying a buy zone area for Seedify, and this is taken from the last time that Seedify had this absolutely epic rally that took place in literally just the space of a couple of weeks, and it did around 478%. You can see that we're now kind of re-entering into this kind of green zone. We've been out of it, and we're kind of confirming that we are back into kind of bull market territory. Now, as you can see, Seedify is running into a little resistance here, so I am potentially looking for it to maybe have a little bit of a pullback before I would be getting involved. I do, however, see there's around a 52% move to the next level of resistance, but that's not really why we're in Seedify. Obviously, it would be great if we could stake away Seedify for like a year or so in order to be able to invest in all of those exciting IDOs so we can average ourselves a 26x and then come back and find our Seedify bag at the end of the day massively up as well. Because Seedify back to all-time highs, you're looking at like a 17, 18x. So effectively, as we look into this project that's running right now, you can see Chappie's FCFS. And what we can see is a maximum available amount of 11,233 BUSD. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just go in and buy that right now, but you need to be able to hold some tokens to be able to qualify for that amount. And here you can see the various different tiers of the amount you can hold. As you see, if you hold down here 500 S fund, you will get a pool weight of 1.1, and the more funds you're basically staking and holding, the more allocation you'll get. Now, typically tier 9, which is the top level, you will usually receive around $2,000 to $3,000 worth of allocation for that pre-ICO, which you shouldn't be too concerned about, because remember, averaging 26x is $78,000 when you times $3,000 by 26. However, after each raise goes ahead, you're basically rewarded for your loyalty. If you leave your staked Seedify tokens in there, then you can basically continue to gain even more allocation as you go. For example, you will be able to achieve up to 11,233 BUSD's worth of purchase in Chappies, for example, if you've been holding and staking through multiple rounds of fundraising. And that would mean that you could potentially make yourself $292,000 using that same 26x on this. Now, there's obviously no guarantee that any project will do a 26x, but looking at past performances, you can see that the percentage overall is around that. So typically for me, I will look to have a strategy where I invest X amount in every single project, whether that's $100, whether that's $1,000. So basically I'm in with a chance of getting like a 360x or something in the future for one of these projects, because all the other ones that you've invested in don't really matter. If you turn 1K into 360k, I think you're going to be pretty happy. You also have the opportunity through staking to be able to accumulate more tokens as well, which could also be pushing you up the tiers without having to add in any additional cash. There's also an NFT launchpad, which is another great way that you kind of get a feel for the space if you want to go and learn more about NFTs and all of that good stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, it's obvious that ICOs and IDOs are not something that should be overlooked. You can go and do research yourself, and you can find absolute gem projects if you're willing to put in the long hours and the long work to be able to do that. Now, obviously, if you're subscribed to this channel, I will help you to try and discover lots of different free tools we can use to be able to find them. But to be honest, since coming across Seedify and understanding basically how it works, as well as seeing their past performance, I'm genuinely pretty excited about what they're offering. As well as that, you can see the interaction from what's happening on their chart right now. Obviously, do your own research. Don't just invest money without doing due diligence. Go and look at some of the projects they've raised money for before and understand whether or not you'd like to be involved in the projects that they'll be launching next time. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the very next video. Bye-bye.